Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for this video. So today what we're going to be focused on is this tank right here. If you do not remember or you have not watched this video before, I will have a card at the top where you can go back and watch this at a later time. But a while ago we scaped out this really cool fallen tree tank for a giant blue betta that's been living in there for almost a year now. And this thing is overgrown with frog bit that we need to get out of here. And I figured, hey, you know what? It's time for a change for this little guy. So today we're going to be fully rescaping this tank with a completely different style of aquascape than what's in there today. So you're not going to want to miss this, so make sure you stay tuned. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notification bell, because I truly do appreciate everybody that takes the time to watch my videos. And with that, let's get into this video today. Let's start by cleaning off this glass with a little bit of this API Safe and Easy glass cleaner. This stuff works fantastic. We'll just spray it here on the outside. The great part about this stuff is you can use it on the inside and the outside of your aquarium, and it is safe. So this glass is a little dirty just simply because we have been painting the back and placing driftwood in here to see how it was going to look and see how we were going to do it and those kinds of things. So the glass got just a little dirty, but that should clean it up nicely. We are going to be using the same materials that came out of this tank before. If you have not seen that video, that was my fallen tree tank. So we're going to start with these pieces of wood. I need some rocks to kind of stack this wood up on. Well, I believe we have gotten the overall hardscape done the way we want this. Now, I did go with a different type of stone than originally. So we went with this kind of sandstone kind of stuff, which I think looks okay. As you can see here, we kind of have it around the base of this tree, and then we have it around the base of this tree as well. Now, the tank is extremely dirty because this driftwood was in fact wet from coming out of the other tank. So it is dropping some of its bark and things. So we're going to try to clean that up as much as possible with a paper towel. However, we may have to just float that stuff out with water and then just drain it. So now what we need to do is go ahead and start getting some of the planted substrate where we're going to be planting. So let's get that done. So this planted substrate that we're using is actually some fluval stratum, and we're actually going to cover this with a different color substrate. This is just for where we're going to be planting these plants. And this substrate just came out of this tank, so we have not washed it or anything like that. We're going to use it just simply because of the fact that, well, it is full currently of a bunch of nutrients and beneficial bacteria and everything like that. So we want to make sure that we maintain that. We're going to go ahead and take this paintbrush and start kind of pushing this stuff up specifically where it's at. And really we want to just kind of start building this scape up as far as what we want it to look like. And like I said, we won't actually have this planted substrate showing. This will be completely covered by another type of substrate, which is more decorative. We just want to make sure that we have enough planted substrate so when we plant, the base of those plants can go down into the substrate. All right, well, now that we have all of our planted substrate where we're going to be planting these plants, now we need to come back in and start laying over our decorative substrate. So let's go ahead and get that done. So what we're going to be using is this kind of a brownish color sandy substrate. It's very similar to what I've used in the last two scapes, except that I actually found brown. Whereas if you watch the last two videos, the White Cloud Mountain Minnow video, as well as the Apistogramma video, I actually had to mix some pool filter sand to that gray sand, or that gray crushed rock, to give it a more brown look. Whereas with this one, it's already kind of a brown color. And what I'm doing here is just trying to put this stuff down to keep these kind of walls of planted substrate structured so they don't fall and roll over into this decorative substrate. All right, well, I went ahead and put some water in this thing to kind of just rinse the sand off. Now the sand is nice and clean. We'll have to clean the glass once we get this thing full of water, but I'm not gonna drain it completely down. What I'm gonna do is go ahead and start planting this thing. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stick this Java fern back here in the corner and kind of bury the rock that it's on. I'm not burying the actual root ball or the rhizome of that Java fern. I have this little Asian water fern that I'm gonna push into the planted substrate right here between these two rocks, which I think will look really good as that thing starts to grow. Back here, we're gonna take this broadleaf ludwigia and we're gonna kind of push this down at an angle so it kind of grows out this direction behind the tree. That will look really good when that stands up. I'm gonna kind of push it back here just to hold it up as we plant the rest of this. Have a little bit of this green Ambulia that we're also going to put kind of here in the background. Have a little bit of this Rotala indica, once again another good plant. And we're going to put a couple of these back here, really small ones. Put a couple of other kinds of hygrophila here that I'm actually going to push back in here behind this tree a little bit. And before we plant any more on this side, let's move to the other side because we want this to be where it kind of looks good together. So we're going to go ahead and add this Java fern back here, and this is just going to be kind of pressed between these two branches and this rock that's back here, and that will kind of grow in nicely just right there. So now we have some really long Jungle Val. It's going to go right back here in hopes that it will grow and kind of take over this tank. And this stuff may need to be trimmed to start, but we will see. Add some of this broadleaf ludwigia back here as well. Add some of this Ambulia right here. I'm going to take some of these API root tabs. I'm going to stick these into the substrate back here. Keep everything nice and healthy. And last but not least, a dwarf aquarium lily. All right, well now all that's left is to get some water in this thing and see how this thing looks. So let's get that done. Here's my method of filling up a tank. So essentially what I do is use a paper towel and I put the water directly on the paper towel, which prevents the substrate from being disturbed. Well, I think it looks pretty cool, but I need to do a little cleaning up on it and we'll be ready to get this thing cycled and get some fish in it. So I need to get the filtration in here, but before I can do that, I need to treat this water and get rid of all of our chloramines and chlorines. And we're gonna do that with some API Stress Coat Plus. We're just gonna pour this right in here into this water. So now that we have the water treated for chlorine, let's go ahead and plug this filtration system in and get it primed. So we can go ahead and add some bacteria. Now we've used pre-cycle filter media in this tank, so the filter that was in this tank originally is back in here. But even with that, we're going to go ahead and use some of this Stresszyme Plus, which is a live bacteria, which just keeps your aquarium healthy. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and leave this thing running for a little while, and once it clears up, we will come back and take a look at this thing. All right, taking a look. Here is the last tank that we scaped, and this is the Episto tank. And if you notice, this thing looks fantastic. All those little cardinals look good. And if you look right back under there, there's one of the Epistogramma cockatoides, and the other ones are probably up in the cave structure. See that guy right there? And the male, he has really started to color up, but this tank looks fantastic. When the water clears up on this one will look fantastic as well. It already kind of starting to look fantastic, but yeah, I really am happy with the way the scape turned out. It's looking really, really good. Prior to those two tanks, we have these white cloud mountain minnows that we are trying to breed here, and those things are looking really good. The light is off currently because I had a little bit of an algae problem in here, but overall the tank's looking really good. Look in here, we have some guppies rolling around in this planted tank. If you notice all the shells on the bottom, that is because we put some assassin snails in here and they are doing work. Looking over here, we also have some more guppies rolling around. My tanks look bare right now because I just used a lot of those plants on those last 2 scapes. We'll be picking up some new plants and cleaning these things out next week. So here's the molly breeding pond, and you can see all the little baby mollies in here. And it's a little cloudy right now because I just had to rescue some from the filter box, which sometimes happens, but overall they look really good. Now I do have this plant right here. It's called a Perry's Baby Red Hardwater Lily. And what we're gonna do with this guy is we're gonna actually get this thing into the backyard pond real quick. So here's the backyard pond, and we've actually got a lot of this stuff done. And if you notice, I have a lot of frog bit. This all came out of that Betta tank that we just rescaped. That's how much was in that thing before we rescaped it. It was completely overgrown. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and drop this pond lily in here. But we have some plants that are floating in here. We have a couple Amazon swords. I've been out here for a few days, and some Java fern, and then all of this frog bit, and then a little piece of pecan tree that's not supposed to be in here. And there's another little piece that just fell in here. But this thing is overall looking good. If you notice, we have this little dip in the side of the pond, which we are going to show you what that's for soon. I had to stop working on this because of all the rain that we've been getting, but we are almost back with working on this pond again. So we should have this thing finished in the next couple of days, and hopefully have this video out this upcoming week, as long as the rain holds off. If it doesn't, well, it's going to be pushed again. But for right now, this water is all cycled. Everything is ready to go for fish, and we may go ahead and start putting some fish in here this week. And of course, we'll show you that in the next video. But with all of that, guys, hopefully you went on to enjoy this video today, and hopefully you enjoy this new scape tank that we put together for this giant blue Betta. He obviously was time for a new home. We scaped that fallen tree tank quite some time ago, and you know, we like to change it up for him every once in a while. So he's got a new home, and hopefully he likes it. We like to make sure our fish thrive and not just survive. So really good home for him. But hopefully you guys went on to like it. If you have not subscribed already, make sure you go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss the content. Make sure you go follow us on Instagram as well as Facebook. Links to all are down in the description. And with all that, guys, I am truly grateful for the support that each and every one of you give this channel. Thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart. I really, truly appreciate it. And with that, we will see you next time.